Welcome to Airtable. With Airtable, you can organize anything. Projects, customers, ideas, you name it. It's as straightforward as a spreadsheet, but gives you the power of a database to work exactly how you want to work. Whether you're managing a successful record label, planning an upcoming move, or wrangling all of your team's deadlines for an upcoming rocket launch, it's easy to organize anything that you can imagine. It's not just numbers and text. With Airtable, you can add rich field types like checkboxes, drop-downs, long notes, links to other tables, and even drag-and-drop file attachments, complete with document and image previews. You're not limited to only seeing things in a grid. You can group and organize your records, show them on a calendar, arrange them in a gallery, and embed them onto your website. You can even create and share a form, and the responses will feed directly into Airtable. Use Airtable on your own, or collaborate with a team to get things done. You can tag collaborators and message with them directly in the context of your information. And all your changes are securely saved and instantly synced across all devices and teammates, so you're always on the same page. Airtable. Organize anything you can imagine.
Hi everyone, my name is Naimeesha Murthy and I'm the founder at Products by Women. We are a skill-based platform that connects women to jobs, training opportunities, and mentorship. Before I begin, I do want to say a quick thank you to No Code Week and all the founders for having us here. With that, I'd like to bring in our speaker for today, Mariam Hakobyan. Perhaps, yes, there you go. Hi Mariam, how are you?
Hello, hey Naimeesha. Great, thank you.
Awesome.
How are you?
Good. Great to be chatting with you today. I'm actually really excited to be chatting with you, learning more about your journey with Softr and everything else. But to begin with, I really want to talk to you about your journey so far. You've been an engineer. You are an engineer, and you've turned into an entrepreneur, and you're a mom of two little kids. So how are you handling all of this? Can you share your transition from what's your journey been, what inspires you, and what makes you the person that you are today?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for the question, but also the invite, and really glad to chat as well. I'll keep it short. I started my background and experience really has been more on the traditional side. I haven't really changed too much in the past, too many jobs and too many different ones. So I have started. I just have loved tech, mostly mathematics from early age, and I have gone into technical studies from the very beginning, and I have started my career as an engineer while studying in the university, and yeah, I worked for more than a decade as engineers, and then for the last 5 to 6 years, I have also been leading product and tech teams. And in most of the companies I joined, I was the first female engineer. For sure, that has been really repetitive. But I actually have to say, like, originally where I come from in Armenia, I actually was working in a company where there were more female engineers than male. So that's definitely possible. And at some point while working in different size companies, like small startups, but especially a bit bigger companies, I realized that in most of the cases, you are playing such a small role in the big kind of organization mission. And especially at those stages where companies established already, they have their product, they know their customers, etc. It's like there's not that much that you can change. There's not that much of an impact you can make. And then really you kind of start thinking, how do you want to spend your time? Especially after having children, after having a family, you really become very conscious of where do you want to spend your time and what really brings value to you and your family, and in general to really the effort that you put in, what kind of outcome do you want to see. And then at some point I just decided to leave my corporate job and start my own business. And that's also something I have had for quite a long time. I have been thinking to start something on my own. I kind of joined an incubator, which basically brings people together to start kind of working together and see if you can work as a team. It didn't really work out, but it was really great experience to kind of get into the scene and start exploring different ideas. And then at some point with my co-founder, we basically had similar experience in previous companies. We worked as engineers. We had seen too much repetition in every other software we kept building. And then on the other hand, being in more leadership roles, we just saw huge scarcity of engineering talent because we were hiring engineers ourselves. And then the idea kind of naturally came out of our frustration. Why not have a platform where all of these repetitive things that you keep building every time, and engineers hate that as well. Why not have a platform where all of this is offered as building blocks or pre-built, and then on top companies or individuals build what's unique to their business. That's really how we started Softr. And I'm really glad I kind of went into that journey in 2 years ago, and we're now working with Softr because it's really kind of empowers not only us, but once you see it empowers really end users, and your efforts bring so much value to others, and people are ready to pay for what you have built. That's really a great kind of great reward that you get.
No, thank you for sharing that, Mariam. I mean, I think you brought up a really interesting point and a very important point, which is as women, we actually wear multiple hats. And you said, you talked about being intentional about the kind of effort that you're putting towards or being tied to any kind of initiative. So, actually kind of leaving your full-time job and taking up or kind of exploring an entrepreneurial journey is actually very intimidating and somewhat scary. So when was that aha moment, like, okay, you know what, I'm going to make this happen? Do you remember that time you're like, okay, I'm going to do this?
Well, when I was, I remember I definitely decided to leave it's also, you're right. It's really difficult. It's challenging, especially I left 6-figure job behind me, and I was like, it doesn't matter the pay or like the comfort or everything that you get. It just doesn't matter compared to the value and the reward that you get working in a company. At some point, I just decided that I'm going to do that. I'm just going to leave and then explore what's there. I think that kind of then opened up lots of other possibilities, which usually you don't get because you're not really thinking about them. And once you are kind of free, you start exploring what's out there. And I wouldn't say I had an idea. I started immediately working on a company or anything. I kind of just was open. I were open for different ideas. Also, that's how I joined this incubator, just to explore what's out there, what can I do, and then after some time, basically brainstorming on different ideas, seeing what works, what doesn't, what makes sense to work on. Then I kind of came to the conclusion and the idea of Softr.
That's incredible. And talk to us a little bit about Softr. Of course, we know what it is, but for those of who are just tuning in, can you give us a quick explanation about how you started? What was the initial idea? What was the initial MVP, and how has it really evolved to what it is today?
Of course, yeah. So Softr is an easy-to-use no-code platform that lets anyone without tech background build powerful applications and portals from Airtable, using Airtable as a backend. And right now, people use Softr to build completely different types of things. And those things range from online communities, member-only communities, online paid courses, marketplaces, portals, customer portals, or internal tools, and lots of other things as well. So basically, when we started, we have been building the product. We have been working on the product for quite a while, almost a year, until we launched it first time. And we weren't working on it full time. Also, so that it took quite a while. But then at some point when we launched, we kind of felt that we didn't want to launch something that was like buggy and not ready to even use. Or in beta version, but we rather decided to launch something that was minimal, but it really worked as a product. It was an end-to-end product. It was kind of minimum lovable product. And the first version which we launched, which was end of August, that's when we became #1 product of the day in Product Hunt. That was just a website builder. So Softr in the first version, it was a website builder. But the idea still from the very beginning, the idea we knew we want to build, it's going to be a no-code platform where you can build really powerful applications, not just websites. But once we kind of brainstormed and realized, like we thought, what's the minimal thing that you do once you start building a web app? It's kind of the website, right? Every marketplace partially is a website as well. And then on top, you can add more additional functionality. That's how we decided that our MVP is going to be the website builder. And yeah, then it evolved really from there. So basically in the last 4 to 5 months, it has really evolved a lot, and now it's quite powerful compared to what we had in the first version. And right now, as I mentioned, people build entire full stack applications, really with the backend, with front end, with business logic in between. And I guess that's I guess that answers the question, hopefully.
Absolutely, it does. That's awesome. And Mariam, if you think about the initial days, I think perhaps for me, one of the hardest things as an entrepreneur is to kind of building that team, the initial core team, and finding like-minded core members. So, any tips for aspiring entrepreneurs or even entrepreneurs who are kind of launching their dream ideas? Like how did you do it, and what is some advice you have for people who are just getting into the space?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, that's also so when I joined the incubator, the idea of the incubator is that they bring smart people together, and then the smart people work together, mingle, and then they potentially become a team. They start working as a team together, which is really hard, right? Like teamwork, it's taking long time. You might not even understand if you are good as a team until some point later, maybe in 6 months or so. So it's really difficult. So I would say you have to really work with someone for quite some time to understand whether just even like in terms of working, you can work together, but also just to know the person. So ideally, the ideal team to me would be if people know each other. They don't have to be friends for sure, but they should somehow know each other. They should somehow have an experience of working together. Sorry. The second part of the question. So basically, the advice would be, I have seen lots of people trying out to work with others in hackathons or in any other, like in different ways before they get into like an official work mode. Probably that's it, I guess.
Awesome. And Mariam, you briefly spoke about your experience with an incubator, with an accelerator. Any tips? How helpful was that? I know you mentioned that it was extremely beneficial, but like, is that a good starting point? What are the pros? What are the cons? Or are there no cons? Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, I think it really depends on accelerator or incubator. So in our case, it wasn't an accelerator. It was actually an incubator, just bringing people together. You don't even have an idea or something. I would say, it was useful to an extent that if you are a first-time founder, so definitely I think it's helpful to kind of surround you with people with similar mindset, people who have maybe gone through the journey, and they can also kind of help you get into the scene and understand different kind of nuances. But I mean, I wouldn't do it second time, but I definitely would recommend for people who are just getting into startup and want to start something on their own. Either it's an incubator, or it might be also a community of like-minded people, or community of entrepreneurs where people have already done something. They are sharing their knowledge, because that kind of the knowledge that someone has, an experienced person next to you, is always going to help you move faster, right? You don't have to do all the mistakes, and you don't have to go through everything yourself, but you can basically learn from others as well. I think in that sense, yeah, I would recommend. Other than that, if it's a start, if you have an idea, if you have a team, if you know, kind of, you just have to start really building a product and really building an audience and just validating with customers. I wouldn't say you need that much, like you need an incubator. I mean, also you have to be cautious of incubators usually also come at price, right? You either, I mean, they usually put some money in the company and then they take some equity. I think you have to be then cautious as well. Is it something that you could do yourself? You could like figure out things while you go, or have people surround you with people who can help you, or rather it's going to be helpful to be part of an incubator where potentially this knowledge comes from them.
Absolutely. I think I'm in complete agreement with what you just mentioned. Mariam, you just raised $2.2 million pre-seed. I'd love to know what, any advice for entrepreneurs, especially women or women of color who are trying to raise funds. And that, there is a parity in how much women are able to raise versus men. And wanted to just quickly chat about that. What's a good starting point? What are some resources that women can start kind of tapping into? Is it equity crowdfunding? Are they angels? Family and friends around? As per you, what's some takeaways?
Yeah. I think especially at this kind of in today's world, most of the people could start potentially their idea using no-code tools. I'm really sure about that. And ideally, my recommendation would be to bootstrap as long as you can, especially using no-code tools. And the reason being that if 5 years ago you would have to, especially if you are non-technical, you would have to have someone technical next to you or hire someone. Right now, you don't have that problem, right? In worst case, you would have to learn the tool, the no-code tool, spend some time on it. But in that case, the question is like, is where do you see the value best spent? Is it like learning a tool or spending your time trying to raise money, which most of the time, if you don't have an MVP or customers, you can't really raise, right? So I would say it's right now, especially, it's really good time for, independent of race, independent of gender, really for people to just dive in, start building their first version of the product, validate. And I'm really confident that once you have a product, once you showcase that you have customers, there is interest, even you have paying customers, you definitely will have some investors interested. I'm not saying everyone will jump on the opportunity, or you will find like hundreds. Everyone gets no, for sure, but you will definitely find the right investor to kind of go alongside with you.
For sure. Awesome. Mariam, the other question that I did have was around like, what are some obstacles, or what is one thing that you do differently? And of course, kind of highlight the blockers or impediments you faced along the way, up in your journeys up until now with Softr and entrepreneurship at large.
Yeah, interesting question. I think, well, in terms of entrepreneurship, it's really just like learning, doing, and failing, right? There's no kind of a path that is created for you, or there's no known way that works for every startup. It's all different depending on the people, depending on what you are working on, where you're based, and all of the different factors. So I think it's just like, first of all, what's really important is really the mindset. Like, what's your mindset? Are you afraid of failing? Are you afraid of like getting no's or the like? Or is it like you know what you want to do? You are open to the feedback from customers, you are open to the market feedback, and then you kind of just keep iterating, keep building, validating with customers, and then just navigating through the journey. And just be bold and really just keep working on what you are believing. I mean, in terms of challenges, it is challenging, right? Entrepreneur life and startup life is challenging, and I would say, like, it's not that everyone will find it interesting or will find it the best. Like, some people find it best if they are part of a company and they have the comfort and they're not that stressed as the entrepreneur, or some people find the life of entrepreneur really like interesting and motivating, and that's what really drives them, right, to wake up in the morning, because they have so many challenges, and all of that is what really drives entrepreneurs to build their startups. So yeah, I think it's also a bit of, like, first of all, probably for people to figure out what type of people they are, what they really want to do with their lives, and then the mindset to just have the right mindset of not being afraid of failure, and just keep iterating, learning, failing, and then learning and iterating again. For us, really, like, the biggest challenge, I wouldn't say we have really faced some challenges which have really hindered us back. The biggest challenge with software especially is to build a product. How do you make something that is so complex, which is technology, easy? That is really the biggest challenge in terms of user experience, the product itself, especially that we are targeting really non-technical background people, that we don't expect them to know any technology. Of course, they have to understand and imagine what type of product they want to build, but that's it. And then other than that, we want to give everything out of the box from software, so they don't spend their time and kind of brain power on that. Instead, they just focus on content and what they want to have as a product. That is really the biggest challenge. And as your product evolves and it grows, it becomes more and more complex. That becomes even bigger challenge. But hopefully we are still on a good path of solving it.
Yeah, and you know, the part that kind of stuck with me is what you just mentioned about mindset. And I think for a good 1 year, it just took me time to realize that as an entrepreneur, you can feel like your to-do list is complete for the day, but then you have 100 other tasks which are added on. So your task list is never just completed, and it just keeps adding on. So it's really a mindset change in the way you look at everything.
Yeah,
So
I
thank
was
you
just
for sharing.
yesterday complaining about that it's kind of a feeling is you never have this kind of reward or like the feeling that you completed something and now you're done because there's always something else and something more important to be done. But then the fun thing and the interesting thing is that it's actually really it's just so motivating to have all of these challenges, because it kind of puts really what's the right way to say, it really puts some meaning into what you're doing. And it's just like, again, depends on the person, but I do love like overcoming difficulties and then really seeing myself grow on a professional and personal level. So that's really something that I enjoy.
Yeah, and I actually kind of coupling that with the fact that you're a mom. I mean, I have a 3-year-old as well, so I totally get it. I know how exhausting this could be. So much respect for whatever you're doing.
Thank you.
It's very, very inspiring. So Mariam, what's next for you? What's your goal personally, professionally in the next few months? What are you looking at?
Well, the professional goals are all now related to personal goals. They are all mixed up, especially in the startup life. So maybe talking about software. So for us, really, next year especially is going to be a year where we really build out our platform, the product. It's right now, I would say, 5% complete yet. And we do have big plans on having a more advanced product, being able to cover a lot more use cases. And so also our product gets used by different types of customers and really empowers a lot more people, either outside as individuals makers or within organizations, to really build out their ideas and solve problems. And so that's I guess for short term. And long term, we really want, well, obviously, because we're working on software, we do want software to be the go-to platform for building web apps without code, and hoping to see that come true in the next years.
Absolutely. I'm sure you're going to get there very quickly. So are you also kind of hiring? How's your team growing? I'd like to kind of give you the opportunity to kind of put it out there if you are looking at hiring.
Yeah, absolutely. We are right now. We actually have been only very limited. There's 2 people until recently, just 2 founders, and now we are ramping up the team. We are looking for people on the marketing, growth marketing side, UX, product, and content, customer success. So yeah, all different types of roles. And also, if you find the right, the way we really look at it is if we know someone, if you find someone who is great, we don't necessarily have to have a title. We will definitely find a good role for them. We really want to have and hire great people to really help us with our journey and help us reach the goals we have, because the team is really what basically is going to make that happen. Otherwise, without really a great team, you can't reach the goals.
Absolutely. And so where can all of these great talent reach out to you? Is it on LinkedIn? Is it on via email? How can they
Yeah,
connect with
anywhere,
you?
anywhere. So all the jobs are published on our website as well, softr.io/jobs. And also to me directly, happy to answer any DMs or anything on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and wherever you find me.
Awesome. And kind of wrapping this up, but like I also have a few more questions which are on a lighter note. But what's your advice to someone who's just starting off, or they're in the middle of their career? Like, you've successfully been able to kind of build this, raise funds, and it's so incredible and exciting. But what's your advice to someone who's just in that path and, knowing how messy, how crazy, how gratifying everything is? Like, what's your kind of thing?
Yeah, honestly, I would probably recommend to for the people, especially in the early stages of their career, to not really go to universities and to not spend their time and most of the important part of their life in universities or in places where basically what they learn or what they get is not going to help them move forward. Instead, I would recommend them to dive into real world problems, real world like work with startups, especially people within tech, work in startups, work in different roles, try out and see what you like really, and like maybe even start businesses, fail. But those experiences are really probably more valuable than you spend years in universities, because as everyone knows, like we all know, in most of the universities, like most of the things you learn are not applicable to life. So I myself also, sometimes when I'm thinking back, I regret that I really have spent several years in university and I really haven't started businesses much earlier, which then at some stage you would be more comfortable and more really like believing in starting something really more kind of serious. So just experimenting really once you are still early in your career, experimenting, seeing what works for you, what you like in general, and then really identifying that passion and go for it.
No, that's like such important and great advice. And I think I work in the intersection of ed tech and HR tech and immigration tech. And I think one thing that you've said actually kind of works with the data that we're looking at, that more and more universities are becoming less relevant and the world's moving towards more skill-based education in any case. So I think thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that's a very valuable piece of advice for anybody
Yeah,
who's listening in.
nowadays you can learn anything on the internet, right? You just need to identify what you want to learn, how much time you want to allocate for that, and then everything is available to you.
Absolutely. And kind of to wrap this up, Mariam, my fun question to you is, if you were not kind of building software, what would your alternative career be? Like, what would you be doing?
It's a good question. I'm really happy. I mean, I have been in tech, right, most of the time, tech and product, and I'm really happy that I started the business and really diving into more the business side, because before that, you really think, especially working as an engineer, you think that's the end. You have like if engineers aren't there, then businesses are not going to run, but that's not the reality. And I'm really so happy to kind of really get into completely other aspects of the business, other than tech. And I guess that's mainly it.
And how are you unwinding right now? Like, I mean, with COVID happening, with 2 kids, what do you do to kind of unplug and not do anything work related? How do you usually spend your downtime?
I have to remember when was the last time that was not related. Well, it's all mixed up, right? It's a different schedule, and it's not the 9 to 5 schedule that some people prefer. That which works for me, which works much better than 9 to 5, and yeah, I guess it's like you just like I do have some support as well on the family side, but definitely it's crazy. it's not easy. I think everyone is in the same situation, and most of the people like are working still from home, and most might have families as well. It's just like an act of balancing and understanding what's really important and being able to prioritize, because there's always going to be work. There's always going to be all of the things. It's just the most difficult part is to prioritize and understand where is the biggest value and where you should spend your time on.
Awesome. I think those were my questions for you, Mariam. I've thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you, but I do want to give you this opportunity to talk a little bit about anything else that we may have not covered, or anything exciting that's coming up for Softr before we wrap up.
Definitely keep an eye on all of the developments of the product, because we are going to have a lot more exciting stuff coming soon, especially the redesign of the entire platform that is going to really help to make it 10x more easier than it is now. And yeah, if you're interested, sign up for our updates, and just follow us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and happy to hear from you if you're interested in any of our roles.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yes, there is a little message which is scrolling down there. So do take a look at that. Get 30% off all on Softr plans for 6 months when you create your free profile. So yes, go check that out. And again, thank you everyone for tuning in into No Code Week. I will be back later this evening at 7 p.m. ET to be talking with Ivana Di Maria, who is the founder at Story Place. And I'm really excited about that. And thank you again. And do check out Products by Women if you are looking for skill-based mentorship or jobs and skill-based workshops, like, you know, learning how to kind of build your own platform using no-code tools and things like that. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Awesome.
Again.
And thanks a lot for the invite, Naimeesha. And it was great to chat.
For sure. And we have to connect offline after this.
Of course, for sure.
Thank you.
The .xyz community is made up of celebrated artists and creative outlets, acclaimed entertainers and designers, award-winning professionals and industry leaders, game-changing communities and organizations, and forward-thinking businesses discovering tomorrow's next big breakthroughs. The word is out, and the world is spoken. .xyz is the domain for the next generation. Build a winning online presence with a domain that knows no bounds. Join the revolution. Get your .xyz today.
This is Jane. Jane's got an online store, and she's doing pretty good.
Crushing it.
But like every store owner, Jane wants an app.
I want an app.
You need an app.
I can't build an app.
But she could. With Tapcart, she was able to design and launch the perfect app for her brand without having to deal with her developer. Now Jane can spend more time on the things she loves, being creative, connecting with her customers, and collecting sweaters for her dog, Sadie. Hey, Sadie.
Watch this.
Tapcart enables Jane to send these interactive push notifications directly to her customers, getting them back in the app and making purchases. Back on top. So what's next?
Flash sale.
Updating her app is a breeze. Add new blocks, feature a sale, share new content from anywhere. Plus, Tapcart keeps her app up to date with the latest technology. So no more dealing with this guy. This is the future, Jane.
Yep, I'm the future.
Your brand, your products, your app. Tapcart.
how you ask is important. With Typeform, it's everything. If you're lazy or got better things to do, pick a template and get on with your day. Ask any kind of question you want, because business doesn't have to mean business as usual. That means you can make it brainy and efficient, or silly and fun. Your Typeform, your rules. Make every interaction count, from start to send. You can keep things simple and tidy if you want, or use the image gallery and look for eye candy. When others zig, you zag. Connect Typeform straight into your workflow and save your future self some headache. When you're done, just share the link or embed it into your site without writing a single line of code. With Typeform, you can pick someone's brain and look like a pro. It's easy to use and free to get started.
Welcome to Airtable. With Airtable, you can organize anything. Projects, customers, ideas, you name it. It's as straightforward as a spreadsheet, but gives you the power of a database to work exactly how you want to work. Whether you're managing a successful record label, planning an upcoming move, or wrangling all of your team's deadlines for an upcoming rocket launch, it's easy to organize anything that you can imagine. It's not just numbers and text. With Airtable, you can add rich field types like checkboxes, drop-downs, long notes, links to other tables, and even drag-and-drop file attachments, complete with document and image previews. You're not limited to only seeing things in a grid. You can group and organize your records, show them on a calendar, arrange them in a gallery, and embed them onto your website. You can even create and share a form, and the responses will feed directly into Airtable. Use Airtable on your own, or collaborate with a team to get things done. You can tag collaborators and message with them directly in the context of your information. And all your changes are securely saved and instantly synced across all devices and teammates, so you're always on the same page. Airtable. Organize anything you can imagine.
The game has changed. Introducing Adalo. You don't need to code to create amazing apps. With advancements in design tools and development languages, we're entering a brave new world where you can drag and drop and make an app. This allows anyone the ability to turn their vision into real working software. With Adalo, creating no-code apps is simple. All you have to do is drag and drop in components like an image list, navigation bar, buttons, and text. Next, you create your database using simple spreadsheets built all in Adalo. After that, all you have to do is connect your design to your database. For example, choosing which data goes in this list. And then, voila, your app comes to life, a real native app built all by you. And the best part of all is that they're available on every platform, from the Apple App Store to Google Play to your own website. But simple doesn't mean it can't be powerful. With Adalo, you're in complete control of design, from shadows to text to borders and branding. We've taken the flexibility of modern design tools and put that into our platform so that you can make it how you want it. On top of that, we've added some pretty sweet features. You can add chat and trigger push notifications for just about anything. You can even set up advanced workflows like requesting and booking. So no matter what your process is, you can transform it into a simple user experience for everyone. You can even design apps for purchasing by adding custom formulas to calculate those pesky things like tax and tip, set up payments, subscriptions, save credit cards, ACH bank transfers, and more. But it doesn't stop there. You can connect your Adalo apps together. You can have different experiences for different users, trigger actions to happen in other apps, and even integrate directly with your own API. Finally, a simple way to build an app without code that's just as powerful as code. Turn your startup idea, your side hustle, or your client's dream into reality with Adalo.